How do we unlock the power of data to maximise our investments? I'm Mike Loader. Investment Insights starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome back to Investment Insights, presented by the team at The Investor's Way, where each episode we provide informative interviews about wealth creation alongside practical tips of how you can master your money. On today's program, we will be looking at the value of utilising property data for better returns. And joining me now is my regular co-host and founder of The Investor's Way, Andrew Woodward. It's wonderful to have you in the studio again.
Great to be back with you, Mike.
We're talking property, we're talking data.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So today we've got a guest, and this guy is an expert when it comes to property data, and I'm glad to welcome Jim from the A-Game Advisory to talk all about property data.
Jim, thanks for joining us in the studio.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Now, I know Andrew is a passionate, data-driven gentleman. You guys are keeping a close eye on it when it comes to property. Take us through a little bit about how people are using data in order to sort of maximise those returns and, do better for themselves.
Absolutely, Mike. There's so many reasons why people use data, but the key fundamentals really around finding the right location to invest in and then finding the right asset type to buy. So whether it's an apartment, a villa unit, a townhouse or a house, that's where data can give people that sort of backup. And what we're seeing in the advisory space is that a lot of people aren't using data as much, where they're just looking in their suburb that's
emotional
convenient.
Decisions,
maybe.
Emotional,
but also convenience.
Okay.
So looking at the suburb they're living in versus, using a data-driven approach. And so when they move past that and they come and see us, they're surprised by the confidence and, the backup that the data actually gives them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so what are some of the pieces of or types of data? I know you talk about 3 different buckets. So what are some of the types of data that people can use to make better property decisions?
Oh, there's a lot of buckets, Andrew. So I'm going to try and summarise it, keep it really simple down to
absolutely.
2. And it's a demand and supply equation, I think, in basic economics. But from a demand perspective, people movement really makes up such a big part of how property works and the demand behind it. And population is a big part of that. So we've got the overseas net migration, and we know that's at record levels at the moment in terms of people coming into the country and then moving around within the country. And then we've got internal migration, and there's quite a lot of that happening, as we know, since COVID. A lot of people are going up north and the rest of it. And then we've got household size, which is another key indicator, and household size really affects demand because depending on how large or small it is, affects the amount of houses that we need. And since COVID, we've seen household size really decrease. So there's a lot less people living in houses, smaller, and there's a bigger increase.
So with all that in mind, what are the most important pieces of data, would you say, for people out there looking to maybe invest or buy or sell? There's a lot going on. Can you distill it down to sort of the most important things that you and your team keep an eye on?
Absolutely. We look at sales trends. So sales trends and median prices are absolute key. There's the short-term trends, which are monthly and quarterly, and then we overlay that with the long-term trends. So people can access that kind of data themselves and really look not only at the short-term, but at the long-term as well. And then there's also the pipeline of building that's coming through.
Construction, right.
New stuff.
Yeah.
And we know there's not a lot of that at the moment. So construction is key. And so, demand and supply is a critical thing. And we know from a supply perspective, there's just not enough properties that are existing for sale from a quality point of view to purchase. And that's where construction fits in. So there's not enough new stuff coming in, and there's not enough existing properties at the moment that are available for sale.
And I often talk to my clients about the fact that you mentioned it before about buying where they live because they know that space, and it's a massive trap. And one of the things that we hear a lot of, you and I have spoken about this, is this concept of a hotspot. Where is the next hotspot going to be? And there's all these supposed experts out there saying, I know where the next hotspot's going to be. So I'm going to put you on the spot and say, well, what's the next hotspot? What do you think about hotspots?
Well, I might wind it back a bit, Andrew, and say that, look, I think everyone's got an opinion when it comes to property, even Mike, right? And you don't have to be an expert in property to have an opinion. I can just walk down the street and someone can tell me what they think about property, and that's fine. But even the experts who are predicting these hotspots are not correct, and they're all got conflicting opinions. So there's expert economists, there's expert investors. People have been doing this for a long time that are predicting things, and they're all wrong at certain points, and some are right. But I think my advice to people would be, when they hear about a hotspot, is just to take a step back and drill a bit deeper into the data that's behind that hotspot. Look at the supply-demand data, understand the trends that have been happening in that marketplace, and then really question it and look at the data sources. Make sure that there's multiple data sources and they're independent. And then just qualify it from a people on the ground perspective. So speak to local sales agents, buyers agents like myself, and even mortgage brokers that are on the ground in those particular areas, who will just qualify the hotspot and give you the perspective of, is it really a hotspot, or is it just someone's opinion?
A great point to leave it there. It's all the time I've got for you, Jim, but I want to thank you for joining us on the program and, of course, helping us understand data-driven property management. It's interesting stuff.
It's a big deal. Like, use that data to inform your decision.
Well said. And, of course, remember, team, the information provided in this program is for general informative purposes only, does not constitute professional advice. Please do your own research and double-check. I look forward to seeing you again very soon, right here on Ticker. Be well.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.